NHL Insider Elliotte Friedman is back and better than ever on the 32 Thoughts podcast and discussed the Flames' plans for a rebuild. Friedman discussed that the Flames are in a rebuild, but not a complete teardown, and hinted at when you can expect the Flames to maybe make some more trades and accelerate the rebuild. We're going to get into all of that and more, but first I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I am Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family, and real ones, real OGs will remember the F-bomb from this channel. I just can't get it to work anymore, unfortunately, but we are going to be talking about some Elliotte Friedman and some Calgary Flames. What a delicious combo that is. So let's hop into Friedman Speaks Out on the rebuild. It is great that the 32 Thoughts podcast is back. I know there was some weird stuff going on with Jeff Merrick, and I know a lot of people were unhappy, but Elliotte Friedman did end up getting a new co-host, Kyle Bukauskas. I think that's how it's pronounced anyway. I know he works with the Leafs and Sportsnet, of course, so great to have him on. I know it'll upset a lot of people that it might become even more of a Leaf-centric kind of podcast, but either way, great hockey content, and of course, the 32 Thoughts are the 32 teams, and who is one of those 32 teams? Well, it's the Calgary Flames, of course, so let's hop into that. We're going to kind of get an article to back us up from the win column from James Johnson, but essentially it's just going over what Friedman said in the 32 Thoughts podcast, but credit due to both the 32 Thoughts podcast and James Johnson here of the win column. But here's the article, 32 Thoughts. The Flames are patient, but veteran players may ask out if the team gets off to a rocky start. They are going to go on a date? Is that what I'm hearing if the Flames end up taking some L's in the first couple of months of the season? Interesting there. Great headline for the article. Let's hop in. It's been a relatively quiet summer for the Calgary Flames, and it sounds like that is exactly what management envisioned. And you know, I have something funny to say about that because we all forget how the summer technically started with a couple big trades. We had Markstrom and Mangiapane, which is bigger trades than most teams have made. But I do understand in terms of the summer as in free agency, yes, it has been relatively quiet. On the latest episode of 32 Thoughts, Elliotte Friedman and new co-host Kyle Bukauskas went over and gave their thoughts about each team. Here are their touch points on the Flames and where they stand heading into the 2024-25 season. Are we a rebuilding team? Well, Craig Conroy clearly has a plan. His plan is to start turning over his team a little bit. We talked before about teams getting completely run over and not being competitive, and your young players getting manhandled. He's stopped short of that. He said, I'm not going to bring in veterans. I'm going to keep them. Yes, he brought in a couple, but he kept a couple. And that was what he wanted to do. I don't think he wanted to completely tear it down. I think we can all see where the Flames are going. They're in a rebuild. But he didn't want to do it to where the young players starting up would get completely destroyed on ice. And that's a quote from Elliotte Friedman, of course. And it really goes to show that, look, if some of the younger guys like a Zane Parekh do not come up this season, it is part of the plan. You don't want them to get manhandled and just come up in a terrible situation. It's why Coronado went down to the AHL last year. Same thing with Peltier. I know you can also argue that was due to performance a little bit, but when they were officially sent down for the rest of the season, it was due to that fact. You don't want the young guys and their growth to be stunted, so, send them down. You can have the veterans in a competitive environment, whatever. If it's not a competitive environment, no point bringing up some young guys to get destroyed. That being said, it's a bit of a gray area. You gotta let the kids play so they can develop, but some people develop better in the AHL. Some people develop better in the NHL. It's tough. We know what Conroy has to do, and either way, it's very, very interesting. This is a great mindset from Conroy and the Flames management. Fans have been asking for a rebuild for several seasons now. And yeah, Friedman completely dropping that it just purely is a rebuild it's about time someone had said it. But that doesn't mean tearing everything down to nothing. Keeping some veteran players around is important. I still think the Flames can and will shed a few more of their veterans during this process, but it's essential to keep some of that veteran leadership around if those players want to stay, i.e. guys like MacKenzie Weegar. I know in recent weeks it's been rumored that Kadri might want out, but he's made it clear he wants to stay. Guys like Coleman. It's very, very, very interesting. But let's get into kind of the second section of what they were speaking about, which is when to start the trades, kind of. So it's not necessarily full on saying this is exactly when it'll happen, but Friedman kind of talked about what you can expect. So here's his quote again. There have been some rumors about some of the Flames players. This is what I believe is going on. I think there are some players who are still there have said, look, if this is a complete teardown, I'd like you to think about something else for me. Craig Conroy has said, look, last year was a really difficult summer for us. This year's been a much better summer. It's been a lot quieter. I'd like to keep it that way. Plan is to start the year, see how it goes, and then decide what he's going to do with some of these players. We'll continue the quote next here. He's asked these players to keep an open mind, see how it goes, and then he'll start looking at what he might need to do or what they want to do. I think those players said, okay, we will do that. So I think that's where we are with the Flames. Let's start the year, see how it goes, and then we'll talk about what the future of some of these players might be. But I know Conroy told teams that. I heard he told players that, and I believe that that is his plan. Now, if somebody steps up with a huge offer for something, that may change everything. That's the whole quote there from Friedman. I know it was a long one. I got a little bit tired saying it. My mouth is getting a little bit dry. But either way, a lot to unpack here, but essentially what we know is the roster the Flames have right now will start the season. If it starts to fall off the rails a little bit, you can definitely expect some trades to happen. And then it'll be very interesting to see who the Flames do decide to play at the NHL level. I know there's a million different combinations we can make, but let me know down below what you think. Who do you want to see actually playing up at the NHL level this season? But let's see what the article has to say about it. This makes a lot of sense. Friedman didn't list the veteran players, but we certainly have our suspicions. Regardless, this is a similar ideology to last year, so I know we don't have as many big name pending UFAs for this season, but there are a couple. They were in contract talks with a few of their pending UFAs before both sides decided to pause things. Things played out how they did, and the Flames embraced the situation they now find themselves in. So, I like that they are going to take their time with things. The great thing about not having too many pending UFAs is that they can take their time. They'll have to make decisions on guys like Kuzmenko and Mantha before the trade deadline. But other veterans like Rasmus Andersson, Nazem Kadri, and Blake Coleman still have some term left on their deals. There's no rush to moving those guys if you're going to move them at all, unless things get off to a rough start and they ask out. I look at Andersson, who has 2 years left on his deal and has been in Calgary for some time, as a guy who could look to move on if the team is bottomed early on. I think we can all expect that, and I think a lot of people would want that. Same thing for Kadri, who will be 34 by season start and may welcome a move to a contender. Ultimately, no one knows what's going to happen until the season starts. Even when the season does start, is anyone going to know what's going to be happening? Are we going to know what our true plans for the future is? It's very, very interesting. Either way, Friedman has revealed some truth here. It's very, very important. You know, we totally are in a rebuild. He knows better than us what Conroy is thinking, so there you go. Lots in this video. But let's wrap it up with the comment of the day, as we love to do. And this one has to do with a couple videos ago about Mark Giordano potentially coming back to the Flames. And this comment here from Kalen Clint C. I think that's how it is. Let me know down in the comments if I'm saying that wrong. But either way, please, Conroy, no to Gio. Let our youngsters shine. The Flames are building from the D up. Conroy will become one of the best GMs in the NHL. Look out. Here we come. Go Flames go. No way Gio ain't coming back. No. Okay. Well, I guess the Flames aren't bringing back Gio then. I know it's a bit of a crazy rumor. It's kind of funny how in some ways Gio wants to come back more as a manager than a player, but it'd be nice to see him retire. Either way, so many pros and cons for that. Check out a couple videos ago if you're wondering about that whole talk. And if not, thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you like what you saw here today, and have a wonderful rest of your day.